Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and today we finally have another iPad process drawing video. You guys have been asking for one for ages, pretty much ever since I posted the last one. So yeah, I got a new iPad case, spruced up my iPad. I just thought I'd give you a little, fashion show of my new thing, and it looks very cute. Of course, all the links to everything I show are in my description box. But let's talk a little bit about today's sponsors, actually. So today's video is sponsored by Paperlike, which is a company whose products I've been using way before they even sponsored me, so this is really fun. So Paperlike is, if you don't know who they are a company who make like paper-like screen protectors for iPads, and I've been using their screen protectors for a few months now. I got one in the summer and I have been obsessed with them since. They feel and sound super natural, just like you're writing on a piece of paper, which I really love. I feel like it really makes drawing for me a lot more natural on an iPad since I'm so used to drawing traditionally. It not only like mimics the feel of paper, but it also sounds like it when you're writing on it. So it's absolutely perfect for when I feel like doing a iPad drawing ASMR video. You also get a lot more control with the Apple Pencil when you're drawing on the iPad with it, just because it creates a little bit more roughness and texture on the screen, and I feel like this is the biggest difference from using a glass screen protector. It just really makes me feel like I have a much better grip on my pencil. So basically their new screen protector, which is the screen protector that I'm using on my iPad currently, is their new version, which drastically reduces glare and fingerprints on the screen. That's actually something I picked up from the last one, is that it picks up on a lot of my fingerprints and a lot of light glares on it, but this one has reduced that significantly, and it's really friendly to the Apple Pencil's tip. It doesn't wear it down as much, which is great. And every set comes with 2 Paperlike covers and application accessories, which just make application of the screen protector ever so much easier. And of course, they ship worldwide for free with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. So yeah, links for everything about Paperlike will be down there in the description, and you guys can use my link. It's an affiliate link. It won't cost you more, but it will give me a little bit of money for everyone that uses it. So I would really appreciate it if you could. So back to the actual video today. Today I'm just doing a little bit of an illustration showing you guys my process that I've been using recently for my iPad. So you guys know that I love like experimenting with different kinds of drawing processes and stuff like that, and just trying out different techniques. So recently what I've been doing is just sketching out my drawing basically that I'm going to be doing I've been using Tara's oval sketch pencil. I purchased these brushes from Tara's Sketch. I forget her name every time, but the links will be down in the description. And the Tara's Oval Sketch is like my favorite brush for everything. So I sketch it out very roughly. It doesn't really matter what color because this is not the final sketch layer. And here is just me laying down some colors before I kind of forgot what color palette I was kind of going for. And after I've decided my aesthetic or what I'm going to be drawing, pretty much, I create a new layer and I go in and line the drawing a little bit more neatly, I think you could say. And I use the exact same brush, Tara's Oval Sketch, and I just kind of line everything in black. And this is not going to be what the final liner layer is going to look like. You guys will see shortly what I normally do, but yeah, I will just make the sketch layer on a separate layer, and I normally lower the opacity of like the rough sketch layer, just so I can see what I'm doing on the actual line art layer a little bit better. And yeah, this is like the suiting part of my illustration process. I just really love lining stuff. It just makes everything just so calm. I don't know why, I just really enjoy it. So yeah, I kind of go to town with rendering out the hair and just everything on the face. I just really enjoy this bit of illustrating. And after I've pretty much done the line art layer of my drawing and I'm satisfied with it, I will create another layer on top of that and delete the rough sketch layer because we don't need that anymore. but I'll create another layer on top, and using the same brush, same color, everything, I'll just start adding like very basic shadows in, again, black and grays. And I've been really enjoying this specific technique recently, which is where I will add most of the shadings and the shadows in a grayscale, and then using the layer styles and effects and make them into overlay layers. And what that does is basically it turns everything on these like line art layers, all the black lines that we've made, they just turn them into a darker version of whatever color you put underneath it. I know this probably doesn't make sense right now, but I'll show you guys what this means in a sec. So I'll again go to town, and as if this was a pencil drawing, I'll just add in all the shading and all the shadows. And this is also where I'll normally like fully render out the hair, which is again another part of an illustration that I really enjoy. It just makes things super calm in my brain. And I'll go to town with this and completely just shade everything. And it doesn't have to be super over the top, because after this I normally also add shadings into when I'm adding color to it. But basically I'll just lay down all the primary shades and shadows and stuff on there. So after I've added all the grays and, you know, all the shadows and everything, I'll go to my line art layer and my shadow layer and turn them both into overlays. And that's under the whole contrast layer style thing. And at first, if you don't have a background color, they will disappear. But after you've added a background, don't worry, it's still there. You just have to add a color, because they won't show up if there's just white underneath. So here, it's like magic. They're basically just a darker color of whatever color is underneath it. And then after that's done, I'll start adding all my color layers. So I'll make a layer. By the way, all the color layers should be underneath the line art layers at all times, because otherwise it won't show up and it won't do this cool effect. So yeah, I'll add a layer for the skin, and then I'll add a layer for the hair color, and then I'll add a layer for whatever else is in the drawing basically, and start adding all the base block colors. And you'll see why I made them all into different layers, just because it makes it easier afterwards when I'm adding any shadings or highlights. I'll normally alpha lock these layers so that I don't, like mess around outside and color outside the layers when I'm actually shading and stuff. And again, this bit is super therapeutic if you just enjoy coloring things in. I just really have been enjoying this process, because it just makes illustrating and coloring in just so much nicer for how stressed I've been recently. But yeah, just basically coloring inside the lines, it's what it is. And it's super fun, and you don't really have to worry about, shading yet or anything, that requires brain activity. So I really enjoy this bit. And after that is done, I'll just start, messing around with layer opacity. So for example, her little shoulder bits on her dress are like sort of sheer material. So I'll add those on a separate layer and then lower the opacity of that. And that's how I'll turn that into sort of a sheer looking material. And then after all the block layers and the base layer colors are done, I'll alpha lock each one of the layers, and then I'll start adding like slight shading in those layers with actual colors, if that makes any sense. I just feel like the overlay layers themselves don't add enough of the depth that I'd like to add, and also I can't play around with like adding shadows with colors in them, so this is where I can actually start playing around with that kind of stuff. And I'll just pick the base layer color, and then, you know, start adding shadows with colors that are a bit darker than that. Again, I'm using the exact same brush for everything in this illustration. I've just been obsessed with it because I've kind of modified this Tara oval sketch brush so that the maximum is higher, so that it can go, you know, a bit bigger, so that I can use it for shading. And it's just honestly perfect. I just love it for everything. It works for lining, shading, coloring, everything. I'll just start adding all these like slighter shades, and this like step will like make it look like everything's starting to come together a little bit. This is also the part where I normally like shade in the eyes and the lips, and, you know, adding all those different colors that are in the face and on the illustration normally. So I'll shade in like the eyeballs and whatever, and add eyelashes and stuff. This is where I'll start adding in those details, is in this part of the illustration. And the really cool thing about this whole like technique, I guess you could call it, is if you do decide to like add some hints of color here and there, and you add those onto the layers that are underneath the overlay layers, the shadows and the shading will still be there, so you can see what it looks like even with the shadows still on there. Does that make any sense? So if I decided to add like a bit of a blue shadow hitting her face from one side, and I added that onto the skin layer, it would still have all the primary shadows and stuff on it. So I feel like it just removes a lot of the going back and forth and adding the shadows back in if you decide to change something later on in the drawing. I feel like it removes a lot of that like kind of boring aspect of illustration, where if you decide to change something, you kind of have to go back and fix a lot of mistakes. But I feel like this removes a lot of that bit of drawing. And basically I'll just keep doing this and adding shadows to all the other layers on the base layers, and it just going back and forth, and then adding all the highlights, which is like one of my favorite parts of drawing, is adding all these beautiful highlights to the hair and the face. It just makes everything really pop. And again, adding some stray hairs. I'll normally turn off the alpha lock layer thing for the hair when I'm doing this, just so I can add a bunch of stray hairs at the end. It just really adds that extra to the hair, you know what I mean? And yeah, normally at the end I'll just add a little bit more of a darker shadow to some parts of the drawing, just to make the contrast go up a little bit, because normally I'll feel like the drawings are a little bit too flat, so I'll add some darker like moments just to up the contrast a little bit. And yeah, after all this is done, I'll just keep messing with it for a little bit too long. Like here I just decided she needed freckles because I don't know, she just gave me kind of a farm girl kind of aesthetic, so I decided to give her some freckles just because. Again, use the same brush for everything. The only thing I change about this brush is the opacity and the size of it, but I use the same brush for everything pretty much. Yeah, here we go. This is pretty much kind of what I do for my illustration currently. This is how I do all of my artwork on my iPad. Again, using my Paperlike 2.0 screen protector makes everything just so much better. I should also mention that I've noticed that the new version of the Paperlike screen protectors just don't dull out the colors as much as the other one did. They just don't dull out the colors, which is something incredible that they've managed to fix from the old version. So yeah, thank you so much to Paperlike for sponsoring today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this updated process tutorial on how I draw on my iPad on Procreate. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. All the links to everything will be down there in the description as usual, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.